I first started hearing this argument when I got into a Facebook argument with some vegans. I warn you, this video will tick off a lot of viewers. Looks like my New Year's resolution to stay away from controversial issues is going to fail, as this video will discuss diet and the next video will take on acupuncture and chiropractic and my own journey away from medical pseudoscience. The overwhelming emotional power of death and cute can make many vegans and vegetarians act as self-righteous and irrational as the religious. This is not true about many of them, though. These particular vegans made the response to one of my points as, do your own research, I don't have to study for you. It was specifically on the protein myth, which is a claim made by some vegans and vegetarians that we actually have too much protein in our diet following the food pyramid, eating meat and eggs. I wanted evidence besides opinion websites, and I couldn't find anything when doing a web search. There were opinion links with no research backing it, just more hearsay links. The only people with research links backing them up were bodybuilding sites and paleo diet pages, who both heavily backed their sources. They both called the protein myth a myth because not all proteins absorb the same way, and depending on how active you are, you need a lot more animal-based protein. Being a micro and cell biologist, I can understand how cells uptake nutrients, and the slight variations can change the efficiency. There is also evidence that lack of animal fat in your diet, especially fish, can cause things like depression and decrease good cholesterol, causing an imbalance. Just some anecdotal evidence here. Since I started eating a bit more paleo, it has been nearly half a year since I last had depression, even though my current job status should have me fighting bouts of depression like I used to. Now, the vegan's natural reaction was, well, you just like meat, so you'll be biased against anything we show you. Actually, I have a wide range of vegetarian recipes I can cook and enjoy, so it's not really that at all. It's like a Christian saying, we actually believe in God, we just don't want to stop sinning. It doesn't really make their claim any more valid. My life would actually require very little change if I suddenly realized that the Christians were right. I still haven't studied the paleo position enough, so I'm still agnostic on the issue. They cite their studies with science, however. They could be wrong. Perhaps because they weren't aware of certain branches of science, and they come to very logical sounding conclusions. They just lack the evidence on important areas, but at least they're on the right track. The protein myth people, however, have no science behind theirs online. If they did, I would look at both sides of the scientific sources and make my own decisions based on who had the best argument and data. If you don't have the evidence, then you need to keep it to yourself and enjoy your own choice you made for yourself, much like how the liberal religious do. If you have a scientific backed link in favor of the protein myth, please PM them to me. I actually have 3 reasons for not being vegetarian. 1, I understand human evolution, biochemistry, and how cellular uptake works. There are extremely subtle changes in the chemistry that can cause the cell not to uptake, like the difference between ethylated and methylated mercury. One can cause poisoning and one will just pass through your body. I understand zoology and just how much animal suffering evolutionary pressures cause. Every day, billions of animals die in a cruel way at the claws of other animals. Sadly, many million of animals also live and die cruelly at the hands of humans. Of course, they don't have to. Non-factory farmed animals can live nearly like pets most of their lives and die nearly painlessly. One can eat meat, milk, and eggs without all the suffering. One just has to be aware and stay away from the supermarkets. And these animal products are much more nutrient-rich because they had more natural foods and lower levels of stress. And 3, animals receive more charity donations than humans. Humans generate the money and the cruelty. Until we fix the problem of human suffering, we will not even put a dent into the problem of animal suffering. When people are well off and less stressed, their cortisol levels are lower and their oxytocin levels rise as a society, making them more aware of the harm they're doing toward others and animals. Science is already working on non-killing forms of meat grown in vats, which, if they prove to provide the same nutrient contents and ability for my cells to uptake the way they evolved to, then I will gladly switch to eating that instead, as it will have a major climate impact. The most insulting part of this rebuttal is the assumption that they are awesome for doing their own research and you are worthless and lazy because since you don't agree with them, you obviously didn't study as much as they did. Heyruka did this in her racism rants, refusing to cite her sources. Just read books and look on the internets and you'll come to the same conclusion that she did. Because it's just impossible to come up with a different conclusion than she did if you do a Google search. For one thing, there are tons and tons and tons of websites out there, and there are so much different scientific studies that people in one's own field may be completely unaware of them. Even once I realize that a creationist is too uninformed to even bother without them doing their homework, I will still direct them to places they can start from the basics, even if I know they aren't going to do the research needed. Instead, there is that attitude of disgust and acting superior, which is an intimidation tactic used to frame the conversation to create an atmosphere of appeal to authority of the self. There are so many studies out there in science, it's quite possible I may have not read the information you have and missed that important paper showing your opinion to be correct. There are libraries and websites just full of research that only get read by a few. Please direct me to your evidence, or remain silent. You're just using your conclusion from your research as a smokescreen that you're tucking out your ass with no evidence. Your idea may be completely right, but the methodology is completely wrong, so I'll have no way to determine if you're right at all. While I don't have problems with debates in the comments section, please keep them civil or I may block you. I want rational vegans, vegetarians, and omnivores discussing in this video, and not the fanatical ones that make them look bad.